as kids, we were living in Marsh Farm, with the family. We discovered Marsh House and the adventure playground at Marsh House as a kind of community site, community centre, really, in wonderful green space. And we used to spend very long hot summers at Marsh House, playing in the adventure playground, attending play schemes, summer holiday play schemes at Marsh House. I was very aware of the river because we used to play at the age of 12, 13, at the source of the River Lea, just underneath the Pen Hill flats on the Marsh Farm estate. And we used to sort of, I remember going, crawling into the tunnel that the river used to come out of, and sort of hiding there when we used to play hide and seek. Walking up the river from the source, as it I think ran along the Birmingham path, I used to notice lots of dragonflies. That's one thing I used to really note about the river, the kind of the ecology, the wildlife ecology of the river, and certainly dragonflies and butterflies, amazing big dragonflies I used to remember. Marsh House at the time was like a kind of a community centre. There were activities happening here. We had a big cafe in Marsh House. The youth club was basically a disco night at the Green Barn, and that became very popular because we used to produce jazz funk discos, and jazz funk was an underground kind of US imported music genre, very popular amongst kind of black youth in 1976, 1977. So the gig, that legendary and notorious gig, which is iconic now in Luton's activist cultural history, was the gig that Crass headlined. And Steve Spon from UKDK approached me about using the Green Barn for a benefit gig that featured UKDK and Crass. It was complete pandemonium because there were hundreds of people, basically, punks, goths, skinheads, undesirables, all there. Around the time of the Crass gig and before, I was also involved on the Marsh Farm estate with lots of anti-racist activity. The National Front were having meetings in Sunderland Park and in the town centre, and myself and friends of mine from Marsh Farm, and we joined up with people from across Luton and formed the Anti-Nazi League and opposed National Front gatherings in Luton. And so that kind of evolved into black politics, really, through the Luton Youth Movement and involvement with the AYMs, the Asian Youth Movements up and down the country. And there were a lot of racist attacks happening in Luton and on the outskirts, on the housing estates in Luton, and certainly in Houghton Regis, an estate called Tithe Farm, where very, very few Asians were located. And there was a Bengali family being harassed on Tithe Farm. And then so we set up what we, in that time, which became quite common, was self-defense groups. These moments are important in the history of the radical history of Luton, in bringing young people together in a call to action for principles, for decent and principles around anti-racism, but they are also kind of united young people as well.